The vast crystalline chamber of the Galactic Council shimmered with the collected light of 1,000 star systems. Each beam refracted through the transparent walls to create a dazzling display that would have brought most species to their knees in reverence. Chief Bioweapon Engineer Holith, however, barely noticed the grandeur as his 6 tentacles worked furiously over the holographic displays floating before him. His species, the Zephrani, had evolved on a world of perpetual twilight, and their mottled purple skin seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it, making him appear as a shadow among shadows even in this brilliant space. The specimens are troubling, Holith muttered, his vocal sacs inflating with frustration as he reviewed the latest surveillance footage from Earth. On screen, a human being voluntarily leaped from a functioning aircraft with nothing but a piece of fabric strapped to their back. Another clip showed humans consuming capsaicin-laden fruits that would have dissolved the digestive tract of any sensible species. Most disturbing of all was footage of what appeared to be a competitive event, where humans attempted to contract respiratory infections from one another, celebrating the severity of their symptoms. Health and Safety Administrator RYX floated nearby, their luminescent form pulsing with waves of concerned orange. As a member of the luminous species, RYX existed as a being of pure coherent energy, held together by electromagnetic fields and an obsessive dedication to proper safety protocols. These creatures represent a clear and present danger to galactic order, RYX intoned, their voice resonating directly in the minds of those present. Their complete disregard for basic survival instincts threatens to destabilize millennia of carefully maintained peace. The emergency session had been called after humanity's recent discovery by the galactic community. First contact protocols had been initiated with the usual fanfare and ceremony, but within weeks it became clear that Earth's dominant species operated on principles that defied all known patterns of intelligent life. Where other species had developed elaborate safety measures, redundant systems, and careful risk assessment protocols, humans seemed to actively seek out danger and then laugh about it afterward. Council Prime Vorthan, a crystalline being whose faceted surface reflected the concerns of the entire assembly, called the session to order. The evidence is undeniable, Vorthan's harmonious voice rang out. In the 3 standard cycles since first contact, human influence has already begun to spread. The Altarian youth are attempting something called parkour in zero-gravity environments. The Betelgeusian hive minds have started individual consciousness experiments after exposure to human social media. This chaos cannot be allowed to continue. The council chamber erupted in a cacophony of agreement. Species that had spent eons perfecting the art of careful, measured existence found themselves confronted with a species that seemed to thrive on disorder. Humans didn't just accept risk. They sought it out, celebrated it, turned it into entertainment. They had a saying, the xenoanthropologist reported with horror, "Hold my beer and watch this." Holith raised his primary tentacle for attention. Honored council members, I present the solution to our dilemma. A new hologram materialized, showing a complex molecular structure rotating slowly in 3 dimensions. I call it the Omega strain. Utilizing quantum entanglement at the viral RNA level, it is designed to be unstoppable, untreatable, and universally lethal to carbon-based life forms. The infection vector is aerosol transmission with a theoretical R0 value approaching infinity. Simply put, once released into Earth's atmosphere, every human will be infected within 7 rotations of their planet. The virus was Holith's masterpiece, the culmination of centuries of bioweapon research. Each component had been meticulously crafted to exploit biological vulnerabilities common to all known carbon-based life. The protein shell was designed to evade immune detection, while the payload would systematically shut down cellular functions. Even the virus's replication mechanism was a work of art, hijacking host cells with elegant efficiency. The beauty of the Omega strain, Holith continued, his tentacles dancing with barely contained pride, is its delayed activation. Subjects remain asymptomatic for precisely 30 Earth days, ensuring complete global saturation before the terminal phase begins. Death occurs within hours of symptom onset, leaving no time for medical intervention, even if their primitive science could comprehend the mechanism. Administrator RYX pulsed with approval. An elegant solution that eliminates the threat while maintaining plausible deniability. No energy weapons, no invasion forces, no evidence of external intervention. To any observer, it will appear as though humanity simply encountered a natural pathogen they couldn't overcome. The vote was swift and unanimous. Within hours, a stealth probe entered Earth's atmosphere, dispersing the Omega strain into the jet streams and trade winds. The council members returned to their respective sectors, satisfied that the human problem would resolve itself within a standard galactic month. The first week passed without incident. Council monitoring stations detected the virus spreading exactly as predicted, carried on air currents and human travel patterns to every corner of the globe. Infection rates climbed steadily, 10%, 30%, 50%. By day 6, preliminary scans suggested near total saturation of the human population. Curious, Holith mused during a routine status briefing. We're detecting unusually high viral loads in certain populations, but no significant behavioral changes. RYX's form flickered with dismissive yellow. Humans appear constitutionally incapable of recognizing danger. This merely confirms the necessity of our action. By the second week, however, the monitoring stations began reporting anomalies. Instead of the expected panic as the infection spread, Earth's communications networks showed an entirely different response. Social media platforms exploded with content, but not the terrified calls for help the council had anticipated. "Check out my quarantine setup," announced one human, displaying an elaborate arrangement of snack foods and entertainment devices. "Day 10 of the sniffles, and I've achieved peak cozy." Another viral video showed humans comparing symptoms like badges of honor. "You think your fever dreams are wild? I hallucinated an entire Broadway musical starring my houseplants." The council's xenolinguistics team worked frantically to decode the surge in communication. Terms like sick day, binge watching, and comfort food appeared with increasing frequency. Most baffling was the proliferation of something called memes depicting anthropomorphized white blood cells wearing tiny hats and capes. Commander Holith, a junior analyst, reported with confusion evident in their bioluminescent patches. "We're detecting mass gatherings in human population centers despite the infection. They appear to be celebrating." Indeed, humans had responded to the pandemic not with fear, but with characteristic adaptability. Quarantine parties sprang up, connected through digital networks. Musicians performed virtual concerts from their isolation chambers. Artists created elaborate works inspired by their fever dreams. The phrase "making the best of it" appeared in hundreds of languages. Most concerning for the council were reports from Earth scientific communities. Instead of wasting resources on futile treatment attempts, human researchers have begun studying the virus with intense fascination. Academic papers started appearing with titles like "Novel Viral RNA Structures and Their Potential Applications in Gene Therapy" and "Harnessing Quantum Entanglement in Biological Systems. Lessons from the Current Pandemic." Impossible, Holith stated flatly as he reviewed the data. "They're not trying to fight it. They're trying to understand it. No species reacts to extinction with curiosity." The third week brought even more disturbing developments. The virus had achieved complete global saturation, every human on Earth now carrying the Omega strain. Yet instead of the expected societal collapse, Earth seemed to be experiencing something unprecedented, a global shared experience that was bringing humanity closer together rather than tearing it apart. Fashion designers released lines of stylish protective masks. Restaurants pivoted to delivery models with special immunity-boosting menus. The entertainment industry produced a flood of pandemic-themed content, from romantic comedies about falling in love during quarantine to action films where virologists were the heroes. The phrase "pandemic chic" entered common usage. Biometric scans indicate the virus is functioning exactly as designed, a Zafrani medical officer reported to Holith. Cellular infiltration is complete. Genetic payload delivery is optimal. Yet the humans show no signs of terminal decline. If anything, their vital signs appear to be improving. The data was undeniable. Human immune systems hadn't just recognized the virus. They were adapting to it in real time. White blood cell counts surged but remained within healthy parameters. Antibody production reached levels that should have triggered massive autoimmune responses, yet somehow remained perfectly calibrated. Most inexplicably, the virus's own quantum entanglement properties seem to be providing unexpected benefits, allowing immune cells to coordinate responses across the body with unprecedented efficiency. They're not dying. Our y-axis form pulsed with agitated red. They're evolving. The fourth week arrived with its own surprises. The activation phase that should have triggered mass mortality came and went without incident. Humans reported mild symptoms, fatigue, congestion, temporary loss of taste, but nothing approaching the catastrophic organ failure the virus was designed to cause. Social media, filled with jokes about the cosmic cold and speculation about alien origins that came uncomfortably close to the truth. Then came the first scientific breakthrough. A research team at Johns Hopkins reported that patients recovering from the virus showed remarkable resistance to certain cancers. The mechanism was elegant. The Omega strain's quantum properties, designed to disrupt cellular function, had instead taught human immune systems to identify and eliminate malignant cells with perfect precision. Within days, research institutions worldwide confirmed similar findings. The virus wasn't just failing to kill humans, it was making them healthier. Cancer patients in viral recovery showed spontaneous remission. Autoimmune disorders mysteriously resolved. Even the common cold seemed unable to take hold in post-infection populations. The Galactic Council convened an emergency session as reports flooded in from Earth's scientific community. Papers with titles like, "To the Unknown Bioengineers," "We admire your elegance, but question your intent," began appearing in prestigious journals. The humans hadn't just survived the unsurvivable virus. They were reverse engineering it, improving upon it, and preparing to share their findings with the galaxy. This is impossible. Halitha's tentacles had turned a sickly gray color. No species can simply decide not to die from a perfectly designed pathogen. The science is absolute, but humanity had never been particularly impressed by absolute science. They had a long history of doing things that shouldn't work. Flying machines heavier than air, splitting atoms they couldn't see, and now, apparently, turning doomsday viruses into medical breakthroughs. The turning point came when Earth's newly formed Pandemic Response Council sent an open transmission to any listening alien civilizations. "We know you're out there, and we know you try to kill us. We're not even mad. The virus is actually pretty cool once you get to know it. Want to collaborate on version 2.0? We have some ideas about improving the quantum entanglement matrix that might interest you." The message was accompanied by detailed genetic sequences showing human improvements to the Omega strain, turning it into a programmable medical tool capable of treating virtually any disease. The modifications were brilliant, innovative in ways that the Galactic Council's best scientists hadn't imagined possible. They want to collaborate. Council Prime, Vorthan's crystalline structure resonated with disbelief. Within days, human scientists were appearing via quantum communication links in Galactic Council research facilities, eagerly sharing their findings and asking questions that made seasoned xenobiologists reconsider fundamental assumptions about life itself. The humans approached the attempted genocide with the same attitude they applied to extreme sports or spicy food challenges, as an interesting experience to learn from and possibly try again with modifications. The aftermath was swift and unprecedented. The Omega strain, refined by human ingenuity, became the foundation for a new era of medical technology. Diseases that had plagued the galaxy for millennia fell before therapies derived from the failed doomsday weapon. The virus's quantum properties, originally designed to ensure no escape from death, instead provided the key to understanding consciousness itself. Humanity's application for full membership in the Galactic Council was approved unanimously, though not without trepidation. As Health and Safety Administrator RYX noted in the official record, their admission represents both our greatest hope and our most significant challenge. They are chaos incarnate, yet somehow that chaos drives innovation in ways our ordered societies cannot match. The irony wasn't lost on Holith, who found himself appointed as liaison to Earth's scientific community. His first assignment was a visiting professorship at MIT, where eager human students peppered him with questions about bioweapon design that they somehow managed to make sound optimistic and life-affirming. The omega strain became a standard case study in xenobiology courses, though human professors tended to focus on its potential applications rather than its intended purpose. The cultural exchange worked both ways. The Galactic Council learned to appreciate something humans called work-life balance, though their interpretation of life still puzzled many species. Alien dignitaries found themselves invited to barbecues, ritualistic cooking over open flames, and game nights, competitive activities with arbitrary rules that humans seemed to make up as they went along. The first interspecies flu season arrived with its own surprises. Council members, their immune systems unprepared for human pathogens, fell ill with what humans dismissively called the sniffles. The response from Earth was immediate and overwhelming. Care packages containing chicken soup, boxes of tissues, and subscriptions to something called Netflix arrived by the shipload. Detailed instructions explained the therapeutic benefits of binge-watching and comfort food. This is undignified. Our whites complained while wrapped in what humans called a Snuggie and sipping hot tea with honey. Supreme beings should not be reduced to. They paused to sneeze, a curious experience for an energy-based life form. To this state of dependency. The humans have a saying, Holith replied, his own tentacles wrapped in heating pads as he nursed similar symptoms. Feed a cold, starve a fever. Though they seem to feed both, along with everything else. Have you tried their hot toddy? Supposedly, it has medicinal properties. The galaxy slowly adapted to what became known as the human standard. The acknowledgement that some species simply couldn't be controlled, predicted, or eliminated, and that perhaps this wasn't entirely a bad thing. Chaos, it turned out, could be a catalyst for growth. Disorder could drive innovation. And sometimes, the best response to an existential threat was to make memes about it and carry on. Earth declared the anniversary of the Omega strain's release as Survival Day, celebrated with typical human excess. Cocktail bars served drinks called hallucination, made with ingredients that change color based on the drinker's body temperature. Bakeries produced cookies shaped like white blood cells wearing superhero capes. The official motto, displayed in every language humanity had encountered, read, "What doesn't kill us makes us stranger." The Galactic Council's historians would later note this period as the beginning of the chaotic Enlightenment, an era where order perfection gave way to adaptive innovation. Species that had spent eons eliminating risk began to cautiously embrace uncertainty. Advanced civilizations that had solved all their problems discovered that maybe having a few unsolved problems kept life interesting. Holith published his memoirs, The Virus That Failed Successfully, which became required reading at xenobiology institutes across the galaxy. In the foreword, he wrote, "Humanity taught us that evolution isn't about becoming perfect. It's about becoming perfectly adapted to imperfection. They survived not in spite of their flaws, but because of them. Their immune systems, like their spirits, simply refused to recognize defeat as an option." The final transformation came when humanity proposed the Galactic Health Initiative, a collaborative project to use the refined Omega strain technology to eliminate disease throughout the galaxy. The proposal came with typical human conditions. All research would be open source. All treatments would be freely available, and there would be mandatory team-building exercises that suspiciously resembled parties. "We've learned something important," the human representative announced during the project's launch ceremony. "The greatest advances don't come from trying to destroy what we don't understand. They come from embracing it, learning from it, and finding a way to make it work for everyone." Plus, if you're going to accidentally create a universal cure for cancer, you might as well share it. We're not monsters. The audience of assembled species, many of whom had initially voted to exterminate humanity, responded with what their translators interpreted as applause, though it manifested as everything from clicking mandibles to harmonious chiming to bioluminescent flashing. The humans, naturally, started a slow clap that somehow spread across species boundaries until the entire council chamber resonated with rhythmic appreciation. In the end, the Omega strain became a symbol not of humanity's destruction, but of their indomitable nature. Museums across the galaxy featured exhibits on the pandemic that backfired, complete with interactive displays where visitors could experience human responses to existential threats. Gift shops sold plush toys shaped like viruses wearing graduation caps, symbolizing humanity's ability to turn even death into a learning experience. The virus still circulated through human populations, now so integrated into their biology that it was considered part of the natural microbiome. Children were exposed to it early, their immune systems treating it like an old friend rather than an invader. Scientists studying human evolution noted that each generation seemed to utilize the quantum properties more efficiently, leading to speculation about humanity's future development. They're not just surviving, our Wikes observed during a routine health assessment of Earth. They're thriving in ways we couldn't have predicted. Their chaos has become ordered. Their disorder has its own pattern. They've turned a weapon meant to end them into a tool for transcendence. Holith nodded, his tentacles moving in what he'd learned humans called a shrug. Perhaps that's the ultimate lesson. You can't destroy chaos. You can only redirect it. And humans, somehow, always redirect it toward growth. The Galactic Council eventually adopted a new approach to emerging species, unofficially known as the Human Protocol. Instead of trying to control or eliminate chaotic elements, they sought to understand and integrate them. The results were mixed, but generally positive. The galaxy became a more interesting, if less predictable, place. Earth's tourism industry boomed as species from across the galaxy came to experience human culture firsthand. Adventure tourism companies offered packages like Survive a Week as a Human, complete with extreme sports, questionable dietary choices, and exposure to what one brochure described as controlled chaos in its natural habitat. The scientific collaboration continued to yield unexpected benefits. Human intuition combined with alien logic produced breakthroughs in fields ranging from faster-than-light travel to consciousness transfer. The quantum properties of the modified Omega strain led to developments in communication technology that made instantaneous galactic conversation possible, though humans primarily used it for sharing cat videos and arguing about food preferences. As the galaxy adjusted to its new reality, philosophers began to speak of the human paradox, the species that shouldn't exist by any rational measure, but thrived precisely because they defied rational measures. Academic papers with titles like Chaos Theory and Biological Resilience. The human model became standard reading, though human academics tended to summarize them as, "We're too stubborn to die properly." The annual Galactic Science Fair became a showcase for human innovation, though other species learned to maintain safe distances from the human exhibits after the volcano incident of 2157. Still, the collaborative spirit persisted. Young beings of all species grew up in a galaxy where diversity wasn't just tolerated, but celebrated as essential to progress. Holith retired from bioweapon development to focus on medical research, finding more satisfaction in creating life than trying to end it. His laboratory on Earth became a hub for interspecies collaboration, though he never quite adapted to the human custom of lab parties or understood why his students insisted on naming all the test subjects. "You know," he said one day to a human colleague while observing a culture of modified Omega strain cells, "I spent centuries perfecting the art of destruction, only to learn that creation is far more challenging and infinitely more rewarding." His colleague, Dr. Sarah Chun, grinned while adjusting her microscope. "That's the thing about humans. We've always known that breaking things is easy. Building them better? That's the real challenge." Plus, it's way more fun. The modified virus continued to evolve alongside humanity, each generation finding new ways to utilize its properties. Some humans developed enhanced empathic abilities, able to sense the quantum fields of consciousness. Others found their creativity amplified, producing art and music that resonated across species barriers. The virus that was meant to end humanity had instead unlocked potentials they didn't know they possessed. The Galactic Council's records from this period included a notation that confused historians for generations afterward. Humanity defeated the perfect weapon not through superior technology or military might, but through the simple refusal to take it seriously. In doing so, they transformed not just themselves but the entire galaxy. The weapon designed to exploit their weaknesses instead revealed their greatest strength, the ability to adapt chaos into order and order into progress. Years later, when new species were discovered and brought into the galactic community, the story of the Omega strain served as both cautionary tale and inspiration. The message was clear: approach the unknown not with weapons but with curiosity, not with fear but with wonder. And always remember that sometimes the most dangerous thing you can do to a human is give them a challenge. The universe had learned its lesson. When faced with chaos incarnate, you had two choices: fight it and lose, or embrace it and evolve. The humans had shown the way, turning their would-be executioners into collaborators, their intended doom into their greatest triumph. They had treated a supervirus like a cold and transformed it into the cure for mortality itself. Sometimes, the greatest weapon isn't fear, control, or even superior technology. Sometimes it's laughter, memes, and a really stubborn immune system that simply refuses to recognize the concept of insurmountable odds. In the end, the galaxy didn't conquer humanity. Humanity infected the galaxy with something far more virulent than any virus: hope, humor, and the unshakable belief that any problem, no matter how vast or terrifying, could be solved with enough creativity and collaboration. And perhaps a bit of chicken soup on the side.